we get so stuck on checking off the to-do list because that makes us feel good. It makes us feel like we're being productive, when in reality, if you don't have the belief to go with it, you're not going to see the results you want. And welcome to Millionaire in the Making. I'm Cherie Sauer, your host and owner of Success Without Sacrifice. And on this show, I'm going to be sharing behind the scenes, my real life, almost like a vlog, telling you and explaining to you what's going on in my business and my life, and as I grow and scale my $1 million empire. That's my goal, is $1 million in personal income and revenue. And I'm going to be sharing behind the scenes of my own life, as well as taking you behind the scenes of other business owners who are growing and scaling to $1 million, whether they've already gotten there, they're on their way there, or they're past there. You're going to get the insights in the background of everything they've done, everything they've gone through, the struggles, the hardships, the wins, because it's really easy to look at somebody that's already gotten there and has done it and have that comparison, or think, gosh, I wish I could do that, or I wish I knew how to do that. But what you don't see is all the struggles that they've had along the way. And this is really a passion project for me, because I have been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. I dabbled in and out of direct sales for a while. And then in 2016, I started my own company. At the time was called Heartfelt Mamas. It was a self-care gift box company for moms. And I had a big vision for that business. I just remember God giving me a really clear vision at one point of this oak tree with these roots going really deep, and that I was going to have generational impact on people's lives. Well, fast forward, and 3 years into that business, I was feeling really burnt out. I wasn't making the income that I wanted, and I wasn't fulfilled in really what I was doing, because I was packing these products and services into a box and I was shipping them off. And I wasn't getting to see the impact or the transformation that it was having on people's lives. And I found out that these moms that were getting these boxes weren't cashing in massages and manicures and pedicures. And they were saying that they wanted self-care, but then when it was given to them, they weren't using it. And that's when I knew it was a mindset issue. My background is in sports psychology. I worked with high-performing athletes as an athletic trainer, injury prevention, sports performance for 14 years. And I knew from my experience in that, if an athlete got injured and was to put them out on the field, when they had fear that they were going to re-injure themselves, or they weren't going to get their starting spot back, or whatever it was, I knew if I put them out on that field, guess what? They were going to re-injure themselves, or they weren't going to get their starting spot back. They weren't going to be fast enough. And so we had to do the work up here first. We had to play the mental game first before we sent them out. If you listen to athletes, Olympians, mental preparation and visualization is a huge piece of their success, because if you can see it in your mind first, then your body can believe it and will be able to perform it. And it just becomes muscle memory at that point. But what I find in business owners, and this was myself as well, we get so stuck on checking off the to-do lists and the busy work, right? Because that makes us feel good. It makes us feel like we're doing something and we're being productive, when in reality, those things are important. We need action, but if you don't have the belief to go with it, you're not going to see the results you want. And that's what happened to me for the first 7 years in my business. It happened in my gift box company. I ended up selling all of my inventory off for my gift box company, and I transitioned into coaching. One, because it was more fulfilling for me. I wanted to create transformation for people's lives. I knew I had this skill set that I had used for athletes that I could now bring into the business world. And I wanted to make an impact and transform people's lives, not just their businesses, but their lives. Like, my goal is to help 1 million people live fulfilled, passionate lives, because why else are we here on this earth if we're just going to be miserable? And so that's my passion. Whatever goal it is for you, but this specific segment is really for those people who have this desire, they have this vision, they know there's something more for them, and they want to use money to create impact in other people's lives, not for themselves, not from a selfish standpoint, right? But to create impact in people's lives. And And so I really just want to share my journey along the way, because I have gone through the struggles. If I could help people understand the mistakes that I made and help them prevent their mistakes so they can get to their goals even faster, like that's a win for me. And one of the biggest things that I learned was that I was, as a high achiever, I found my validation and my worthiness in my achievements. And so if I wasn't achieving, if I wasn't hitting my income goals, that was deeply painful for me. And I went through this season where I transitioned into coaching, and I thought, oh, just, product-based business, it's hard to make money. That's the reason I couldn't make money. Then I transitioned into coaching, and I thought it's going to be so much easier. It's service-based. There's no overhead. There's no inventory. This is going to be so much easier. Well, then came the time to start selling the packages, and I found that I was having the same problems and holdups that I was in selling my products. And there was this deep fear of rejection in me that I didn't even know that was there until my business partner at the time said, Cherie, I want you to launch your priorities over to-do list for $27 for your birthday. Put it out on social media. I couldn't do it. I was stalled. It hit me so deeply that I started crying, and I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't put this out there. Well, the problem was I had started my coaching business in 2019 and had success. I had sold some high ticket packages. I knew I could do it, but there was still this fear of following up with people, fear of putting out offers, because if I put it out, they were going to say no. And 2024, the elections happened, and leads slowed, and any leads I did get, they weren't converting into clients. And I thought, man, what's wrong with me? Is it my messaging? Is it my marketing? Like, I don't know what's wrong. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to change. I started seeking all this advice, and our income started to dry up, and that became really stressful to me. And so when she asked me to put out this offer, I was like, I can't bear another no. If I put out this offer and nobody buys it, my heart can't take it. And so I started to really dig into that, like, what's going on? Why does this feel so hard for me to put out this silly $27 offer that I know is going to impact and help people? But it was because I had this deep fear of rejection. And that fear of rejection stems from when I was in elementary school in third, fourth grade. There was a group of 6 of us girls that were all friends. And it came time for my friend Jen's birthday. And I was the only one of the 6 girls that didn't get a birthday party invitation. And that little girl took that as I wasn't good enough. I wasn't worthy enough. She lived in a bigger house in a nicer neighborhood. They lived in the nice neighborhood, and we lived in, the other neighborhood. And my little brain took that as, I'm not good enough to be around people who make more money than me. I'm not good enough to make money. And that became my story for my whole life up until a year ago. And when I realized that there was a story that was running my subconscious and my life and was preventing me from following up and from sales, and I'd put out an offer and then somebody would ghost me, and it felt really awkward. And then I would go to interact with them after they said no, and it felt weird. And there was all of this stuff, right, that was happening subconsciously for me that I didn't know. I just wasn't aware of it. You're not aware of it until you're aware of it, right? And so I started to do the mental work. I started to do the visualization of, how would Cherie, who is making $1 million, how would she show up? How would she feel? How would she react? What kind of things would she be doing? And I started doing that. I made that a part of my daily routine every single day. And I had known logically visualization was really powerful. I had taught clients visualization, but I wasn't active on a consistent basis of doing it every day in my life, because I didn't feel like I had the time. It didn't feel like it was important. It didn't feel like it was going to move the needle. And so when clients kind of dried up, income dried up, I was like, okay, well, I can't force what's going on in the economy. I can't force income. I can't force clients to come in. And so instead, I am going to focus on my mental game. And that's what I did. And I made a commitment, and I did that And after 8 months, I started to see the results. Leads started coming in, speaking started coming in. I was more confident in putting out offers. I had gotten to the point where I could put out an offer or follow up, and a no was no longer a rejection of me. A no was simply, it wasn't right for them. It either wasn't the right time or it wasn't the right, just wasn't the right fit for them. And I released the outcome, right? I released the outcome. I detached from the outcome. I still have goals, but I detached from the outcome. And because I did the work and I rewired the belief and created that new safety in my body and broke that old pattern, that is when I started to see massive growth in my business. Not because I was doing more, not because I was pushing harder, not because I was forcing anything. I was doing all of the same things I had always done. And I suddenly went from 2 to 5 clients per year to now I think I'm up to 18 clients that I see consistently every month. I used to dream of like, man, I would love to just have 10 clients per month, right? Whether that was a group program or one-on-one program, 10 clients felt extremely overwhelming to me. I didn't feel like I had the capacity. And so there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of work that I did to overcome that. And part of that is going to be sharing that through this series with you. So just wanted to get this started, give you an idea of what this series is about, what to expect, what you're going to see. I'm really excited to interview other people because we all have fears and doubts and things that have tried to stop us. You're going to see people that are making, maybe 50,000 in revenue per year, 100,000 in revenue per year, 100,000 per revenue per month, right? Million, like all over the span is the goal of people we're going to be interviewing. So you can hear kind of some of the patterns and the things that they did, whether that was mindset, a habit that they did, maybe it was something they invested in, like from a financial standpoint. But really pulling back the curtain and giving you a really clear vision on how you can grow and scale. If you have this vision, if you know there's something more for you, whether that's income or impact, you're going to get behind the scenes, and I'm going to share and be really honest and vulnerable about my past and kind of what I've gone through, and even just my current, like, hey, this is what's going on for me, and here's what I'm finding that's working or not working. So that's the goal for this. I'm so excited for you to be along the ride with me. Make sure that you subscribe and hit the button. If you're interested in the priorities over to-do list that I mentioned, if you are, if you're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted and you feel like you never get all the things done that you want to get done, make sure you check that out below. The priorities over to-do list is going to help you be not just busy, but actually productive in the things that are going to help move the needle forward. I'm Cherie Sauer. Thank you so much for joining Millionaire in the Making today. Have a great day.